Hi guys, it's me, Mrs. Smith again. I hope everybody is doing well. And I decided that I was going to choose a book today for story time. It is called Clara and Davie. And the reason why I chose this particular book is because one, it's a true story. The story is based on Clara Barton, and she was the founder of the American Red Cross. And if you guys are not familiar with what the American Red Cross does, hopefully this book will give you a little bit more of insight on to what the Red Cross is. I think it's very fitting for a time frame that we're in and the season that we're in, that we are in need of help. And a lot of people fail to realize that with everything that's going on with the virus, the coronavirus, that there are still other things that are going on where people still need help in. And hopefully this particular story will give you insight on other avenues where we can get help and what they're used for. So again, this book is called Clara and Davie. Again, it's the true story of young Clara Barton, the founder of the American Red Cross, and the author of this book is by Patricia Polacco. On a cold, blustery morning in North Oxford, Massachusetts, a blizzard was threatening and bearing down hard. It was Christmas Day, 1821. Mama was expecting her fifth child. 10 years had passed since her last baby. Mama's health was very fragile. A very special Christmas present was delivered later that day. The family gathered around their mother's bed to welcome a new baby girl. The infant was swaddled and placed next to her mother. "I'm calling her Clarissa," Mama whispered weakly and handed the baby to Dolly, her oldest daughter. Clarissa's other sister, Sally, and her big brother, Stefan, took turns holding her. It was Davie, the youngest brother, who had been long awaiting her arrival. She was so pleased to have a new baby sister. He rocked her in his arms, her tiny fingers wrapped around one of his, and he laughed out loud with pure joy of it. "That's some grip. I bet she'll be breaking horses for Pennsylvania before we know it," Davie crowed. "But she looks more like a Clara than a Clarissa," he announced. From that day on, that's what everybody called her, Clara. As the days passed, Mama grew weak from illness. Soon, all of the mothering of that baby was left to Dolly. But Davie adored that little girl, and she worshipped him. Wherever he went, she was always with him. By that next winter, he taught Clara to sit bareback on the horse almost before she could walk. And when she did learn to walk, she hit the ground running. Davie taught Clara to climb trees, chase fireflies, jump deep furrows, throw clods of earth. She could charge up hills as steep as Cow's Face and push through bundles of standing wheat. Davie was always at her side. What Clara loved most was when she and Davie would swing together from a giant oak and field of wildflowers right next to the creek bank. "Higher, Davie," Clara squealed. "If we go any higher, we'll punch through those clouds and I have to break off a piece of the moon for you," Davie laughed. When Clara ran through the wildflowers, she tried to smell each and every one of them. She and Davie always gathered an armful to take back to the house. On their way, they stopped at the barn. Clara helped Davie feed the animals and do chores. Clara took to nature and animals like a flower takes to the sun. She had a special way with the critters and found joy in the beauty that sprang from the soil. These all came easy to Clara, but whenever Clara talked, it was a struggle. Her words just didn't come out right. Horse was horth. Snapdragons were fat dragons. One day, when Davie was storing kraut in the root cellar, he found Clara in the darkest corner facing the wall. "Clara, why are you down here all by yourself in the dark?" Davie asked as he led her up the stairs to the kitchen. "Dolly put me here. She says I have to stay in the basement," Clara sobbed. As David pulled Clara through the kitchen, Dolly looked cross. "You take that child right back down those steps. She's being punished," Dolly scolded. "For what?" Davie protested. "She doesn't want to talk right. She's lazy. She refuses to pronounce words properly." Davie hugged Clara. "Come with me. I have something to show you in the barn." Clara cried all the way to the barn. "I'm trying real hard to talk right, Davie, but my tongue just won't do what Dolly wants it to do," Clara sputtered. Davie led her to one of the managers. He parted the straw. That's when Clara saw the newborn puppy. She wiped her eyes. "Where's its mama?" "Ran away," Davie answered. "But this little pup is a sickly runt. If somebody doesn't tend to her, she won't live too much longer," Davie whispered. "I'll take care of her," Clara promised. "She's as cute as a little button. That's what I'll call her. Button," Clara exclaimed. Button flourished under Clara's care. She loved that dog more and more each day. But even with the happiness that Button brought, ridicule of Clara's lisp caused her to withdraw. She grew shy and afraid of most people. Whenever Dolly brought up the subject of Clara going to school, Clara ran and hid in the barn. The more time Clara spent in the barn with Button, the more attached she became to all of the animals. She watched them for hours and studied their ways. She learned everything about them. But it was sick creatures that got Clara's special attention. She seemed to have a healing in her hands. When Clara was helping animals, her heart sang. She felt brave and confident with critters. It didn't matter to the animals how Clara talked. At Dolly's insistence, Clara's worst nightmare came true. She was sent to school where she was so timid she barely spoke. When she dared to talk, everybody laughed at her. In the schoolyard, the other girls surrounded Clara and mocked her. "Why can't you talk right?" one of them teased. "Sounds like the hiss of a snake," another chimed. "That's snake, not snake," one of them mocked. They all laughed. Clara picked up a clod of earth and hurled it at them. Then she ran for her home as fast as she could. Davie found Clara in the barn, sobbing. "Everybody made fun of me, Davie. Please don't make me go back there ever again," Clara pleaded. "Tonight I'll talk to Pa. We can teach you right here at home. Nobody will ever hurt you that way again," Davie reassured her. Davie was true to his word. He convinced Pa to let Clara be schooled at home. The whole family helped her. Stephen taught Clara how to figure numbers. Sally and Dolly helped Clara become a fine reader. Davie taught Clara to read maps and gave her lessons about nature's wonders. Soon Clara could add, subtract, multiply, and divide any combinations of numbers. She read just about every book on her pa's shelf. She and Davie enjoyed special trips into the village to borrow books about nature and animals from the library. They always made their way home through the woods and fields filled with wildflowers. Thanks to Davie's lessons, Clara knew all the flowers by name. Davie marveled at his sister's ways. Wild squirrels and sparrows greeted Clara. No animal feared her. She leaned over and whispered sweet words to the daisies and asters. If Clara was nearby, they seemed to brighten and stand taller. When gathered together in a nosegay bouquet, Clara called the flowers her tussie mussies. Winter came, so did the cold. That didn't stop Clara's love for the outdoors. One morning, a group of boys from the schoolhouse knocked at Clara's kitchen door. "We miss you at school, Clara," one of the boys announced. "We ain't never seen anyone throw a clod of earth as far as you can," another added. "As you can run as fast as the wind blows," a third boy chimed in. To Clara, they all seemed to be talking together. "Clara, can you come skating and sledding with us?" Clara tried to answer, but wasn't fast enough. Dolly hissed, "It isn't proper. Respectful girls don't go caravanning around the countryside with wild hooligans." Before Dolly could protest any further, Clara was out the door. Davie followed right behind. For the first time in months, Clara was laughing and having fun with other children. When one of the boys twisted his ankle and smacked down on the ice, Clara knew just what to do. She rubbed hard on his bruised skin. "Is it broken?" the boy asked. "Nope. Good as new," Clara answered. Like Davie, the boy saw that Clara had healing hands. They were her best friends from that day on. Clara's reputation about her healing hands and her special way with critters spread throughout the countryside. Neighbors called on Clara to treat their farm animals. She started borrowing medical books from the library. It got to be that Clara could deliver foals, treat cows, and mend broken sheep bones. Her green thumb was almost as renewed as her ability to treat and heal living creatures. Every spring, Clara's flower garden was the envy of the village. Around this time, Dolly was struck down by a mysterious illness that confined her to her room. Even though Dolly had been mean to Clara, seeing Dolly so sick was like losing her second mother. Dolly's illness made Clara even more determined to study the library's medical books so that she could find cures for all kinds of sickness. For fun, Clara still ran through the countryside with the boys from school. Davie was always by Clara, making sure she was safe from scorn. One day, as Clara was returning from treating her neighbor's pigs, her hog, Clara, she was stunned to see her family's farmhands carrying Davie from the barn. "Clara," old Ben called out. "Davie fell from the highest roof beam in the barn. He's hurt real bad," one of the other farm animals said breathlessly. Clara could see that both of Davie's legs were broken. "Be careful moving him," Clara said with a steady voice as they made their way into the house. Clara knew exactly what to do. She ordered Davie's bed to be brought down to the parlor. She understood that he needed warmth from the stove and light from the windows. When Doc Reynolds arrived, he examined Davie. "Who attended this patient?" the doctor asked. "I did," Clara said shyly. "Well, girlie, you did exactly what I would have done," Doc said. The doctor set Davie's bones. When he left that night, Clara could tell by Doc's sad expression that he didn't expect Davie to live. Clara was determined to help Davie heal. Because of her excellent care, Davie made it through that first terrible night. Day after day, month after month, Clara stayed with Davie from the moment the sun rose until it set each night. Clara was always at Davie's side, seeing to his wounds and comforting him. 3 springs came and went. As Davie slowly recovered, Clara marked the milestones in his healing. There was the first day he could move his feet again. The day his bones was fully knitted and mended. The day he left his bed and was carried to the chair by the window. But the last hurdle still had to be accomplished. Davie had to try and walk again. Every day, Clara urged her brother to stand and take small steps. She sang to Davie. She read him his favorite books. She always kept fresh nosegay bouquets on the table near him. Each time Davie's bouquet needed to be replenished, Clara walked to the creek bank alone, wondering if Davie would ever walk beside her again. Sadly, every day was the same. Davie couldn't seem to muster the courage to even try. One day, Clara took Davie's hands in her own and fell to her knees in front of him. "Davie, I know you can walk. You have always told me that I have a gift of healing. Unless you try to walk, I'll never believe that again." Davie reached for Clara. He wouldn't stand. "Davie, if I can't help you walk, I'm useless." Clara ran out of the parlor toward the barn. Clara sobbed alone. Then she saw a shadow standing in the barn doorway. It was Davie standing with an armful of wildflowers. Davie whispered softly, "I walked to the creek bank and picked these myself on my own 2 legs." Clara blinked. Her eyes weren't lying. Davie said, "You do have the gift of healing. Clara, it's in your heart and your hands. Thank you for my life." Davie took careful steps toward his little sister. They hugged. They wept tears of joy. Davie said, "Someday you are going to be a very great lady, Clara." As I told you, this letter was made from the author was actually Patricia Polacco, and she wrote this story based on a true story of Clara Barton. And again, the reason why I chose this particular book was because it had something to do with the need to help people. Based on this book, I wanted to ask you guys some questions. Based on the book, was you able to identify what the American Red Cross was? And if you was not, do you think that you'd be willing to research a little bit about the Red Cross and all of the services that it offers? Here are some pictures of the real Clara Barton for you to enjoy. That's Clara Barton right up here at the top. And as I read to you earlier, this book was created by Patricia Polacco, but she did the research on Clara Barton, who was born in 1821. So in those particular days, this is what they wore when they took pictures. And as you can see, it's a little bit in black. Well, really it's a lot in black and white. But look how they dress for pictures. Underneath the heading, this was Clara Barton at the age of 29. And then on the other side of the page, these were two of her brothers. Well, her mother's brothers, as it reads. Uncles George and Richard, and then Mary Ellen was her mother. And on the bottom, she had pictures of her cousins, David and Stephen, I'm sorry. I hope that you enjoyed this book. I hope that it taught you a little bit about helping others and something pertaining to what you can do when you believe in yourself, even when you have a little bit of flaws. As you read, or as I read in the story, Clara had an issue with stuttering. She had a lisp. Not so much stuttering, but she had a lisp. And those are when you are unable to say certain words because your tongue kind of gets in the way. But even with her flaw that she had, she did work hard to get her education from home, and she was able to help other people along the way, and one very dear brother. I hope again that you enjoyed this book. Again, it's Clara and Davie. This is the cover of the book if you should decide to read again about it. And of course, on this little picture over here, that would be Buttons right there. Buttons, and that's Clara, and that's Davie. Stay tuned for tomorrow. Oh, also, today was Blue Day, so I wore my Lincoln Lion shirt just in support of Spirit Week. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and stay tuned for tomorrow. Hopefully, I will be reading a book with one of my puppies. Talk to you later. Bye.